Beloved chosen one, stop for a moment. Heaven has pressed pause on your scrolling on your racing thoughts, on the weight that has followed you through this entire day. This is not a coincidence. This is divine interruption. Heaven is speaking now, and you are the one God has chosen to hear it. Every distraction fades because heaven has ordered this exact moment to reach you. You may not realize it yet, but this message has been written in eternity for your ears alone. You have been walking through noise voices of doubt, confusion, and exhaustion. But now everything goes silent because the voice of God cuts through it all. You have felt overlooked, but heaven has not overlooked you. The very breath you take right now is a sign that your purpose is not finished. God is calling your name in the quiet, saying, "Listen, my chosen one, I have work to complete through you. You have endured storms that others would not have survived. You have carried pain that others never saw. But today, the heavens lean down to remind you your pain was not wasted. It was preparation. You are standing in the space between who you were and who you are about to become. The enemy tried to convince you that you were forgotten. But how could heaven forget its chosen vessel? Listen carefully when heaven wants to release a word. It chooses a moment like this. You are not scrolling by chance. You were led here by divine command. Every breath, every heartbeat, every tear was seen by God. And now heaven whispers, "Do not fear, for I am with you." You were never fighting alone. There have been seasons where you felt like your prayers bounced off the ceiling, but God was not ignoring you. He was building you. The silence was not abandonment, it was incubation. You are being refined, shaped, and positioned for something so much greater than you imagined. The delay has only been the proof of divine design. Heaven never rushes what it intends to last forever. Your spirit has felt weary, hasn't it? You've been carrying questions, why me, why this, why now, and yet, even in your weakness, you kept showing up. You kept believing when everything around you said quit. That persistence has been noticed in heaven. God is saying, because you didn't give up, I am now releasing what I promised. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That is your word today, renewal. Heaven is renewing your strength right now. The fire inside you that almost went out is being reignited. The purpose that seemed distant is coming alive again. You may have crawled to this point, but you will run from here. What once felt like a season of survival is about to become your season of revival. You are chosen, not by human approval, but by divine appointment. You carry light that terrifies darkness. And every battle you faced was proof that you are dangerous to hell's agenda. That's why the warfare was so heavy. That's why your nights were long. The enemy does not fight the ordinary. He fights the chosen. So lift your head. Chosen one. You are standing under heaven's command. This moment was never about luck, it was about alignment. You are aligning with your divine purpose right now. The wind of God is shifting around you, turning delay into acceleration, pain into power, and tears into testimony. Listen, the Spirit of God is saying, I am not done with you. The very thing that tried to break you will bow before your breakthrough. Now I speak directly to your spirit. Rise, wipe your eyes, step into your calling. The world has yet to see the full strength of what heaven placed within you. You are walking into a season where peace will follow you like a shadow, and favor will find you where you once faced rejection. If this word has reached the deepest part of your heart, then it was meant for you. Don't let it pass by. Heaven is calling you to respond. Type 777 in the comments as a prophetic act in agreement with heaven that you choose to step into divine renewal, divine strength, divine purpose. And while you're here, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. This is not just a video. This is a divine broadcast meant to awaken the chosen ones across the earth. Your engagement spreads the message heaven intended for others to hear. The same voice that called you here is calling others through you. Let this message echo through your actions, through your faith, through your obedience. Because from this moment forward, you are not just surviving, you are soaring. You have always felt different, haven't you? Even as a child, you could sense that something about you did not blend with the rest. You could enter a room and feel the atmosphere shift. You could sense things others ignored. You carried a strange mixture of peace and restlessness, of power and isolation. It was not your imagination. You were marked, set apart by heaven for a purpose too weighty for the crowd. The world has always tried to make you doubt that mark. They wanted you to be normal, to quiet your discernment, to dull your light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable around you. But God never designed you to fit in. He designed you to stand out. You are one of the few heaven calls the marked ones, those who walk through fire yet do not burn, who walk through storms yet emerge with greater authority. When the world misunderstood you, it was not rejection. It was revelation. They could not recognize divine fingerprints on your life because they were not meant to. Chosen souls are often hidden in plain sight. You have felt that tension, wanting to belong, but knowing deep down that you were never built for ordinary belonging. The world's rhythm was too shallow for the depth of your spirit. You've spent seasons wondering why you think differently, feel deeply, and perceive what others overlook. That's because you carry divine sensitivity. Your spirit is tuned to heaven's frequency. When others sleep, you feel the stirring of angels. When others joke, you discern warfare. You are not strange. You are prophetic. The pain of misunderstanding was the price of clarity. You have walked through dark rooms with invisible battles raging inside you, but even in those moments, heaven was training your spirit. Every rejection carved out room for revelation. Every no from people positioned you for God's yes. You have been set apart for sacred work, and that separation has sometimes felt like suffering, but even your suffering carries divine purpose. There were moments when you asked, "Why can't I just be like everyone else?" But if you were, you would not carry the oil that you do. The weight of your anointing requires a life of difference. The higher your calling, the deeper your refining. And you have been through the kind of refining that only heaven could oversee. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. "Therefore come out from them and be separate, and says the Lord, touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you." These words are not a demand for perfection. They are a declaration of identity. Heaven says, you do not belong to this world system. You belong to me. That's why the world's pleasures could never satisfy you. That's why compromise felt like poison in your spirit. You have been spiritually consecrated, whether you realized it or not. Look back over your life for a moment. Think of the things that didn't destroy you, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the disappointments that should have broken your faith but somehow didn't. That's not luck. That's divine preservation. God's hand was over you even when you couldn't see it. He was setting boundaries around your destiny so that nothing, no failure, no addiction, no voice of darkness could pull you out of his reach. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to disturb the comfort of complacency. Your very presence exposes what is false and awakens what is asleep. When you walk into a room, spirits recognize you. They may not know your name, but they know your authority. And that's why the opposition has been fierce, not because you are weak, but because you are powerful. Chosen one, there will come a time when the mark you carry will draw both favor and friction. Some will be drawn to your light, others will flee from it. Don't chase those who can't understand your calling. Let them go. Not everyone can journey with you into the next dimension of obedience. Those who were meant to stand beside you will not be intimidated by your fire, they will be ignited by it. You are part of a divine lineage, a remnant generation that heaven trusts. Your tears are seeds. Your solitude has been sacred ground. You've been misunderstood because revelation often isolates before it elevates. But soon, what heaven concealed will be revealed. Keep walking in your difference. The mark on you is not a curse, it is a covenant. You are heaven's evidence that purpose still breathes in this world. Every step you take carries prophetic weight. Every word you speak shifts atmospheres. Even your silence carries authority because your spirit is anchored in divine truth. The world may not understand you, but heaven celebrates you. And one day, everything you questioned will make perfect sense. You will look back and realize that every lonely season was necessary. Every strange stirring was divine preparation. And every time you were set apart, it was because heaven was whispering, "You are mine." You've carried more than most will ever understand. There are nights that only heaven could see, when tears soaked the pillow and your heart whispered prayers too broken for words. You smiled through pain that would have shattered another soul. But deep inside, you kept believing somehow, somewhere, God still had a plan. You thought no one noticed, but heaven noticed. The unseen weight you carried was never ignored. There were moments when you wanted to scream. Why me? Not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. You've endured betrayal from people you would have protected, silence from those who once spoke loudly of their loyalty, and storms that came without warning. And yet here you stand, still breathing, still fighting, still holding on. That is not weakness. That is evidence of divine endurance. Every tear you shed was seen, every ache recorded. You think God forgot the long nights when you asked him to show up, but he didn't. He was closer than your pain, collecting your tears like treasure. You may not realize it now, but what you carried was holy weight. The pressure was the proof that you were carrying purpose. Chosen one, you have been through battles that didn't make sense. Sometimes you questioned whether you were being punished, but you were not being punished, you were being purified. You were being prepared for a platform that pain alone could build. What others call suffering, heaven calls shaping. You have been molded in the fire, refined like gold, because your destiny requires strength no comfort zone could ever give you. When you walked through heartbreak and loss, you thought you were breaking, but in truth, heaven was breaking open your capacity for compassion. Pain birthed empathy, rejection birthed revelation, loneliness birthed intimacy with God. Everything you've endured has been turning you into the vessel you were created to be. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 16. Restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, declares the Lord. There it is, the divine assurance that your suffering was not in vain. Heaven is not wasteful. It never lets pain go unpaid. The weight you carried in silence is about to become the testimony that speaks loudly in the presence of those who doubted you. The tears that fell in darkness are watering the very ground where your harvest will grow. Listen, God saw how you stayed kind when you were mistreated. He saw how you forgave when you had every right to be bitter. He saw you pray for those who hurt you. That kind of strength doesn't come from human willpower, it comes from divine grace. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are strong because you still love deeply after being wounded. Heaven is saying to you now, you did not carry that weight for nothing. You will see the purpose behind the pain. Every season of heaviness was building muscle in your spirit. You have been stretched so that you can carry more glory. You've been emptied so you could be filled with power. God never allows the chosen to walk through darkness without emerging with light. There were moments when your heart broke so deeply you didn't think you'd ever recover. But look at you now, still alive, still standing, still chosen. That's not coincidence, that's covenant. God's promise over your life is still active. Even the ashes of your past are about to glow with resurrection fire. So, chosen one, don't despise what you carried. Don't curse the process that made you who you are. You were not abandoned. You were entrusted. Heaven trusted you with that pain because heaven knew you'd turn it into purpose. What broke others only built you. You may have been crushed, but out of that crushing comes oil, and that oil will heal nations. Now I want you to respond in faith. Type, I am still here. Say it as a declaration, not a sentence of survival, but of victory. Because being still here means the enemy didn't win. It means every weapon formed against you failed. It means that even when you wanted to give up, grace held you together. When you write those words, you are not just commenting, you are testifying. You're telling darkness, you tried, but I remain. Every time you breathe, heaven celebrates. You are living proof that pain cannot silence purpose. Your story isn't over, it's being rewritten in glory. The same God who allowed the storm is the God who commands peace to follow it. You will not just recover, you will rise. You will not just survive, you will shine. So lift your head, wipe your tears, and remember this truth: you were never carrying pain, you were carrying destiny. The weight was never punishment, it was preparation. Heaven has been with you every step. And now, the reward is drawing near. Chosen one, there were seasons when your heart broke so quietly that even your closest friends could not hear it. You smiled while your spirit was shattering. You kept showing up when your strength was running out. And when the world misunderstood your silence as weakness, heaven understood it as surrender. You were not giving up, you were giving over. You were being reshaped by divine hands, even through the sting of rejection. Rejection is one of heaven's most misunderstood gifts. You saw it as loss, but God saw it as redirection. You were never meant to sit at every table, never meant to belong in every room. Some doors closed because you were too chosen for where you were trying to fit. You called it failure, but heaven called it preservation. You wanted to stay, but God said, if I let you stay, you'll shrink to fit where I want you to stand. Every person who walked away, every promise that broke, every dream that fell apart, it all served one sacred purpose: to bring you closer to your divine identity. The heartbreak did not destroy you, it delivered you. Through pain, you discovered what no comfort could teach: that God's approval matters more than man's applause. There was a time when you begged for answers. Why did they leave? Why did it end like that? And heaven whispered back, because you outgrew that chapter. And you see, not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people were part of your construction, but not your completion. They were teachers of pain, not partners of purpose. Their departure did not remove your worth, it revealed your value. When they rejected you, they did not see you. They saw a reflection of what they were not ready to face. You carry light, and that light exposes what's hidden in others. Some will flee from that light because it reveals truth. Do not chase them. You are not meant to convince those who cannot discern your calling. Heaven was not punishing you, it was pruning you. every separation, every lonely season, every unanswered message, it all stripped away what was temporary to make room for what was eternal. The pruning hurt, but it was holy. Because when God removes something, it is always to replace it with something greater. The voice of God thundered in the book of John, chapter 15, verse 2. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. That is your truth. The cutting was not cruelty, it was cultivation. Heaven never takes without the intent to multiply. The branches that were trimmed from your life were never meant to bear the kind of fruit you are destined to carry. The loneliness you feel is simply the sound of roots growing deeper. You are becoming stronger than you know. Think of what rejection produced in you: wisdom, discernment, resilience, humility. You learn to depend on God more than people. You learn that silence can be sacred and that solitude can be strength. You found out that sometimes the best thing God can do for you is to say no through the actions of others. You have been through seasons when doors closed without warning. You tried to reopen them, thinking maybe you had done something wrong. But heaven closed them not to punish you, but to protect you. If you had stayed, you would have settled. If you had forced those connections, they would have drained the life from you. You did not lose them, they lost access to you. You are not defined by who left. You are defined by who stayed, and God never left. Through every tear, through every empty conversation, through every moment of loneliness, His presence never departed. He stood beside you in silence, holding you while you didn't even realize it. Rejection was never the end. It was the unveiling. It showed you what cannot go with you into your next season. It exposed the counterfeit connections that would have limited your destiny. It broke the illusions that people's validation was necessary for your value. Now you walk lighter, freer, clearer. You no longer chase acceptance. You attract divine alignment. Chosen one. What once felt like abandonment is becoming your anointing. You can now recognize pain in others because you've survived it yourself. You can speak to the rejected because you've lived through rejection. Your scars have become sermons. Your wounds have become wisdom. Heaven wastes nothing, not even heartbreak. Soon, those who walked away will watch what God builds from what they abandoned. They will see that your isolation was incubation. The very rejection that hurt you is birthing revelation that will heal others. What once felt like an ending will be remembered as the beginning of everything divine in your life. So lift your eyes, beloved. You are not broken, you are blooming. The pruning has done its work. The soil of your sorrow is fertile with destiny. And when you finally see the harvest of what your pain produced, you will whisper through tears, "Now I understand why it had to happen that way." When heaven calls your name, chosen one, the earth begins to tremble. The air thickens with resistance because darkness always notices when light rises. You have felt it, those sudden battles that appear right after a breakthrough. Those unexpected storms that seem to arrive the moment you decide to walk in peace. That is not coincidence. It is confirmation. When heaven chooses you, hell notices. Every time you step into obedience, it is as if the enemy sounds an alarm in the unseen world. The pressure you feel is proof of purpose. The warfare surrounding you is the evidence of your assignment's worth. You are not called to a life of ease, but to a life of impact, and impact always comes with opposition. You have wondered, why does it feel like I'm constantly fighting? Because light disrupts darkness. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. When you walk into a room, invisible realms respond. You are not weak for feeling weary. You are strong for still standing. Even when your voice trembles, heaven hears it as thunder. You have faced battles in your mind, doubt, anxiety, fear. But those storms have been your training grounds. God has been teaching you how to recognize His power inside you. The same fire that threatened to consume you is now the flame that refines you. What once wounded you now becomes your weapon. It is written in the first book of Peter, chapter 5, verse 10. But the God of all grace, who has called you unto His eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. That is heaven's promise after the fire, strength after the shaking, stability after the storm, peace. You will not remain in warfare forever. There is purpose in the pain, and the God of all grace will use it to shape you into something unshakable. Chosen one, you are a lighthouse in the storm, and lighthouses are never built in calm waters. You are placed where waves crash hardest so that lost souls could find direction through your endurance. Each time you refuse to give up, a soul somewhere remembers hope. Each time you rise again, light expands a little further. Your tears are not wasted, they are oil for your lamp. Your wounds are not shame, they are sacred openings through which heaven pours light. You have become a living parable, a story written by God's own hand. The pain that tried to silence you has only deepened your song. When you move through battle, remember this: the enemy attacks loudest when your breakthrough is nearest. So when the pressure intensifies, it is not time to retreat. It is time to roar. You do not fight for victory, you fight from victory. The cross already decided your outcome. You are not trying to win, you are enforcing a win already sealed in eternity. And yet, even warriors need rest. Every soldier of light must pause to breathe, to let grace mend what the battle strained. Take this moment as a gentle breath from heaven itself. The same God who called you to fight also calls you to peace. He is not only your commander, He is your comforter. Now hear this not as a request, but as a reflection. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not just supporting content, you are extending light. Each simple act is a spark that travels farther than you can imagine. Someone sitting in despair may stumble across this message because of your small act of faith. You become part of the miracle chain, an unseen bridge between heaven's word and a weary heart. And if you ever feel stirred to give, to donate, to sow into what feeds your soul, know that giving is not a transaction, it is transformation. A candle that lights another does not lose its flame, it multiplies light. When you give, you join heaven's rhythm of generosity. You help keep the oil flowing so that the flame can reach more souls still wandering in the dark. You are part of something sacred, something bigger than algorithms and screens. This isn't entertainment, it's ministry disguised as message. It's heaven reaching through words to awaken hearts. When you support, you aren't helping a voice, you are helping a mission. You are placing another stone on the path that leads someone home. Chosen one, know this: every storm that rises against you is terrified of your endurance. Every dart thrown at you only proves that you are carrying something precious. The darker the night, the brighter your light must be. You are not under attack because you're failing, you are under attack because you are about to triumph. Lift your eyes now. The battle is fierce. Yes, but your armor shines. You wear courage as a crown and compassion as a shield. You walk with a glow that no darkness can dim. Heaven has chosen you not because you are flawless, but because you are faithful. So keep shining, keep fighting, keep loving. The world needs your light more than it knows. And as you stand there, chosen and unbroken, remember heaven watches, hell trembles, and the earth shifts because you still stand. There is a whisper moving through heaven right now. Chosen one. It carries your name. For though you have been strong, though you have endured the storm and faced the shadow, there have been moments when you almost gave up. You felt the temptation to quit, to lay down your calling, to let the fire fade. But heaven leans close tonight and says, don't do it. Do not surrender what you've prayed too long to build. Do not trade your destiny for the comfort of silence. Every step you've taken has been leading somewhere sacred. You have not been wandering, you've been walking through divine preparation. And though the enemy has whispered that it's over, heaven declares, this is only the turning point. You see, the closer you are to breakthrough, the louder the voice of doubt becomes. The enemy fears your obedience because obedience is your greatest weapon. Every act of faith you make is an earthquake in the realm of darkness. When you obey, you become a living sword in God's hand, cutting through confusion, bringing light where there was none. There were days when you said, maybe I'll just stop trying, but deep within, your spirit refused to quit. That's because the anointing on your life is stronger than your exhaustion. You were designed to rise again. Even when your body trembles, your purpose stands tall. You are held by a power that doesn't depend on your strength but flows from God's eternal promise. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That verse carries the rhythm of heaven. Pain never lasts forever. The night does not have the authority to cancel dawn. You've cried, yes, you've questioned, yeah. But morning is approaching and joy is not coming quietly, it's coming like thunder rolling over the hills of your soul. Chosen one. I know the weight feels heavy right now. You've been walking through invisible battles no one else can see. You've been smiling in public while wrestling in private. You've been asking God if He still hears you, still remembers you, still plans to use you. Let me assure you He does. He has never stopped watching, never stopped guiding. Even when it feels silent, heaven is still at work behind the curtain of time. There is a war for your faith because your faith carries generational consequences. The enemy isn't just fighting to tire you, he's fighting to silence the line that comes after you. But he will fail. Your obedience today will become someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. You are the bridge between what was broken and what will be healed. That is why you cannot quit now. When your mind grows weary, rest in His word. When your heart grows heavy, lean into His peace. When your path feels unclear, take the next small step in faith. The whole road will not appear at once. Heaven gives you just enough light for the next move so that you will learn to trust, not to control. Do not compare your journey to others. You carry a unique blueprint written in heaven's ink. Some seeds take longer to bloom, not because they're weaker, but because they are designed to grow deeper roots before they rise. That's you. You are not delayed, you are being deepened. You may feel like everything around you is being stripped away, but sometimes God allows what you hold to fall so that your hands are free to receive what truly belongs to you. Your loss is not the end. It's a rearrangement for something greater. And now, as you read these words, something in your spirit stirs again. You can feel it, the faint hum of hope rising, the soft flame of courage flickering back to life. That's heaven breathing strength into your bones, saying, stand up again. You are not finished yet. So here's what I want you to do right now. Type 404 in the comments below. Not as a ritual, but as a prophetic sign, a declaration that you choose to endure, to trust, to rise again. The number 444 represents stability, divine alignment, and the assurance that heaven's order surrounds you. When you write it, you are agreeing with heaven's rhythm. You are saying, I will not break here. I will not give up here. I am covered, called, and chosen. It's not just a comment. It's a contract between your spirit and destiny. You've come too far to stop now. The valley was never meant to be your home. It was meant to reveal your strength. And soon, you will see why God didn't let you quit, because what's waiting on the other side is everything He promised and more. Hold on. Chosen one, morning is already on its way. There are moments. Chosen one, when time itself feels like an enemy. You've watched days slip through your fingers like sand, prayed prayers that seemed unanswered, and waited in the quiet where heaven's voice felt faint. You've wondered if you missed something, if perhaps you took a wrong turn, if maybe the promise was for someone else. But hear this clearly: God's timing is never late. Delay is not denial. Heaven does not measure time the way the world does. To the human eye, it may seem as if nothing is happening. But in the unseen, 1,000 small alignments are being set into place. What looks like stillness is strategy. What feels like silence is preparation. You are not forgotten. You are being synchronized with divine order. You see, when God makes a promise, He also designs the environment that will sustain it. You cannot walk into certain blessings prematurely, because timing protects what destiny births. Like a seed hidden beneath soil, you are growing where no one can see you. The darkness is not punishment, it is incubation. Think of a tree planted in winter. The ground seems lifeless, the air cold, the branches bare. Yet beneath the frost, roots stretch deeper, preparing for the weight of spring's fruit. That is you. You've been buried in what looks like stillness. But it's the deep work of heaven anchoring you for what's coming. There were seasons where you begged God to hurry. You thought if only things moved faster, you could finally breathe. But rushing the process would have broken the promise. If the door had opened earlier, the weight of the blessing might have crushed what you were not yet ready to carry. God loves you too deeply to deliver destiny before your foundation is strong. According to what is revealed in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Every tear, every trial, every silence, all of it has its appointed time. The season that once crushed you will one day make sense. The delay that once broke your heart will one day prove to be your protection. God has not ignored your prayers. He has been shaping the people, places, and paths that must align before His promise unfolds. Look back for a moment. Think of the doors that closed those opportunities you thought you lost, the relationships that ended abruptly, the plans that fell apart. Now that time has passed, can you see it? What looked like rejection was redirection. What looked like failure was foundation. Heaven has been guiding your steps even through the detours. You are walking a timeline that was written before you breathed your first word. The delay you despise may be the very thing preserving you from destruction. There are storms you never had to face because heaven rerouted your path before you even knew there was danger ahead. That's not delay, that's divine timing working on your behalf. Chosen one, understand this: God's clock does not tick according to earthly schedules. When He says wait, He is not withholding, He is weaving. You are part of a tapestry so vast that your current pain is only a single thread. One day, when you step back and see the whole picture, you'll marvel at how perfectly every thread fit together. Patience is not passive, it is prophetic trust. Waiting is not wasted time, it is sacred training. It teaches your heart to stay still while heaven moves. Every minute you've spent waiting has been adding weight to your spirit, resilience to your faith, and wisdom to your steps. You may feel behind, but in truth, you are right on schedule. Heaven's timeline has no competition, no rush, no fear of delay. The same God who orchestrated the sunrise this morning is orchestrating the unfolding of your destiny. And here is the mystery of divine timing sometimes. God waits for your heart to align before He releases what He promised. Not because He doubts you, but because He loves you enough to ensure that when the blessing comes, you will not mistake it for the blesser. The waiting purifies your motives. It detaches your heart from idols and reattaches it to truth. Soon, the waiting will make sense. What was once slow will suddenly accelerate. The same ground that felt barren will burst with growth overnight. You will look back at the seasons that nearly broke you and realize they were the birthplace of unshakable faith. For now, breathe. Trust the rhythm of heaven. Don't curse the quiet, it's where God is building your strength in secret. Don't despise the waiting, it's where roots deepen and destiny gathers force. Chosen one, heaven's watch has never lost time. When the hour strikes, when everything aligns, it will happen swiftly. What took years to form will unfold in moments. And you will understand why God never rushed, because what He was crafting in you required eternity's precision. The fire, chosen one, yes, the fire. You felt it burning through your life in ways you never asked for. You've watched things you loved slip away, watched plans collapse like ash in the wind, and at times you've wondered, is this punishment? Did I do something wrong? But no, beloved, it is not punishment. It is refinement. You have been placed in the furnace not to destroy you, but to reveal what cannot be destroyed. The fire of heaven is holy. It does not consume the chosen. It purifies them. Every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment has been the flame removing what does not belong to your destiny. You are being forged like gold, shaped by heat, and though the process burns, it also beautifies. There are parts of you that could only be awakened by fire. Comfort never builds character, flames do. The blaze you've endured was heaven's classroom, teaching you endurance, patience, and faith that does not depend on circumstance. It's easy to believe when the sky is blue, but faith that survives the furnace is faith that commands mountains. You've said, God, I can't take any more, and yet somehow you did. That strength was not yours, it was His within you. When you thought you'd break, heaven whispered, not yet. And so you stood, even when you were trembling. You have come through the kind of fire that changes the shape of your soul, making it glow with light unseen by ordinary eyes. Heaven speaks clearly through the book of Isaiah, chapter 48, verse 10. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Chosen in the furnace, not before it, not after it, but within it. That's the paradox of divine destiny. The very place that hurt you the most became the place that heaven called you by name. You were selected not despite the fire, but through it. The smoke on your clothes is not shame, it's evidence of survival. Think of the blacksmith and the sword. A blade gains its strength not by being admired, but by being beaten and burned. Every strike, every spark, every sound of the hammer is purpose hidden inside pain. The craftsman does not stop until the sword gleams with perfection. And when it's ready, it reflects his own face. So it is with you. Heaven has been shaping you until your life reflects the face of the one who formed you. The fire reveals what imitation faith cannot survive. It separates the surface from the sacred. It exposes false attachments, reveals hidden pride, burns away fear disguised as control. It strips everything that cannot stand eternity's light. That is why it hurts, because it's transforming you from fragile into formidable. There is something holy about fire when heaven sends it. It destroys nothing essential. It only reveals authenticity. You are beginning to see that what remains after the burning is what was always meant to stay. Relationships that drifted, opportunities that vanished, doors that shut, they were not accidents. They were impurities removed from your spiritual metal. You may not realize it yet, but you are glowing. The furnace that once felt like hell has marked you with heaven's fire. There is a depth in your eyes now, a quiet authority in your voice. You speak from survival, from revelation, from the kind of knowing that only pain can produce. Even your scars now shine with purpose. What once embarrassed you will soon empower others. You will tell your story not with bitterness but with gratitude, because you'll see what it produced. Gold does not apologize for the fire it survived, it gleams because of it. And so will you, chosen one. The flames have not only changed you, they have freed you. You no longer fear what others think, because the fire already tested your worth. You no longer cling to things easily lost, because you have learned that only what is eternal endures. This is why you are unshakable now, because what could be burned away has already gone. Soon, the world will look at you and see radiance without knowing what it cost. They will see strength, but not the nights of tears that built it. They will see calm, not the chaos that birthed it. And when they ask, "How did you endure?" you will simply smile. For some fires can only be understood by those who've walked through them. Do not despise this refining. It is heaven's vote of confidence. God only tests what he trusts. He placed you in the flame because he saw what could emerge from it. You were not consumed, you were completed. And even now, angels are watching as the smoke clears, as light returns, as your spirit stands clothed in a strength forged in divine heat. What once was ashes will soon be beauty. The fire was never meant to destroy your destiny. It was meant to display it. You are not a victim of the furnace, you are its victory. There comes a sacred moment, chosen one, when heaven begins to unveil what it has been building in secret. You have walked through seasons of silence, refinement, and pruning. You have been misunderstood, hidden, and even forgotten by those you once trusted. But now, the winds are shifting. The same God who concealed you for protection is preparing to reveal you for purpose. You may not feel ready, but destiny never waits for feelings, it responds to faith. You've carried the weight of obscurity long enough. The season of being unseen is ending. Heaven is calling your name out loud now, and what was hidden is about to be honored. The years you spent feeling invisible were not wasted. They were the quiet forge of heaven shaping your character in secret. When the spotlight comes, it will not expose you. It will reveal what's been matured inside you. The wilderness was not your punishment, it was your training ground. Every step through dryness was strengthening your roots for the fruit that's about to appear. You see, when God reveals someone, it is never sudden, it's divine timing catching up to preparation. Every sleepless night you endured, every battle you fought in silence was heaven's way of saying, I'm preparing you for the day I let the world see what I see in you, and that day is drawing near. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden." That verse is more than encouragement, it's prophecy. You cannot stay hidden when heaven decides it's time for you to shine. You were never designed for the shadows. The light within you was meant to illuminate others, to draw them out of despair and into divine awareness. Chosen one, heaven is lifting the veil. Where you were once ignored, you will now be acknowledged. The same mouths that doubted you will one day speak your name with honor, not because of pride, but because your endurance proved true. The hand of God is about to make public what he has long confirmed in private. But hear this, with visibility comes responsibility. The more light you carry, the greater the shadow that will try to follow. Stay humble. Stay hidden in God, even when the world begins to see you. Fame in the kingdom is not measured by applause, but by obedience. You are not being elevated for attention, you are being positioned for assignment. You will begin to notice small signs of recognition, unexpected opportunities, doors opening without explanation, people drawn to your presence without knowing why. That's not luck, it's alignment. Heaven is orchestrating connections that will activate the next phase of your purpose. And when that happens, resist the urge to say, "Finally, it's about time." Instead, say, "Thank you, Lord, for trusting me with this moment." Because revelation is not reward, it's responsibility. God reveals you only to the extent that He can trust you not to steal His glory. Think of Joseph in the prison before the palace. His dreams did not die in the dungeon, they were simply waiting for the right atmosphere to breathe. When Pharaoh finally called his name, Joseph was not shocked. He was ready. That's what God has been doing in you, making you ready. When your name is called, you will not panic. You will perform because this is what you were born for. There are people already speaking about you in rooms you've never entered. Your name is being mentioned where your feet have yet to stand. The unseen hand of God is arranging introductions and alignments, moving hearts and shifting circumstances to fulfill what He promised. This unveiling will not be about fame, but about function. You will become a voice for those still hidden. You will carry wisdom that will set others free. You will be recognized, not for the platform you stand on, but for the presence you carry. Now, before this word settles completely, I want you to act prophetically and type, "I am ready." Write it not for me, but for heaven to see. It's a declaration, a contract between your faith and your future. When you type those 3 words, "Murtadon," you're telling the spiritual realm, I agree with what heaven has already prepared. I'm stepping out of hiding and into purpose. It's a statement of surrender, not pride. And when you do, something begins to move. The same spirit that called your name before time began begins to activate what's dormant within you. It's not about chasing recognition. It's about embracing revelation. Heaven reveals those who are willing to remain vessels even when visibility increases. Chosen one, your time of hiding has done its holy work. You are not the same person who entered the fire, and the world is about to see it. The glow you carry now was not learned, it was earned in the quiet. Step forward gently but confidently. Your season of unveiling is here, and heaven stands behind you. There are winds stirring in the unseen. Chosen one. You can feel it in your spirit, the subtle shift in the atmosphere, the quiet anticipation in your chest, the sense that something sacred is about to unfold. It's not imagination. It's alignment. The same God who spoke galaxies into motion is rearranging the pieces of your life with divine precision. What was scattered is gathering. What was delayed is awakening. The winds are changing direction, and this time, they are blowing in your favor. For so long, it felt like the storm was against you. Every gust of wind seemed to push you backward. Every wave seemed determined to drown you. But God was never absent in that chaos. He was the one commanding it. What you thought was resistance was actually redirection. The wind that once pushed you down is about to lift you higher. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 5, "Look among the nations and see, wonder and be astounded, for I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told." Heaven is doing something unbelievable. You are standing on the edge of a divine surprise, something so intricate, so beautifully orchestrated, that it could only come from the hand of God. The winds of promise are shifting around you. They are carrying you toward doors that no human could open and away from traps that would have delayed your destiny. Picture a sailboat on the open sea. For years, you've been rowing, tiring yourself out, trying to move forward through sheer effort. But suddenly the wind begins to blow. The Spirit of God fills your sails to go, and where you once struggled, you now glide. That's the season you're entering. Less striving, more flowing. The divine wind is behind you now. Everything begins to align when heaven breathes. Opportunities come into view like islands appearing through the mist. People you need begin to find you, not because of chance, but because the current of purpose carries them to you. Your name travels on the breeze of divine timing. What was once impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. And as this shift unfolds, remember you are not a passive passenger. You are the steward of this vessel. Keep your sail of faith raised. Keep your compass, your heart pointed toward obedience. The wind will carry you, but you must still navigate with integrity, humility, and gratitude. This is also the time to sow back into what gives life to your spirit. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not simply engaging, you are releasing wind into another soul's sail. You help this message reach hearts still adrift in confusion, people who are waiting for a word to remind them that heaven has not forgotten them. Each simple act of engagement becomes a ripple that touches distant shores. A person halfway across the world could find peace because you pressed a button here. Think of it like throwing a seed into the wind. You never know where it lands, but heaven does. Your small action could be the very thing that guides another soul safely to harbor. And if your heart ever feels stirred to give, to donate, to plant into this river of words, know that giving is not about money. It's about motion. You are adding oil to the flame that lights the way for others. Every seed keeps the current flowing. Every gift helps the sails of this ministry remain raised toward heaven's purpose. Your generosity becomes part of the wind itself, unseen but essential. Chosen one. This shift is not just about your life, it's about legacy. You are part of something larger than yourself, a divine network of light stretching across hearts and nations. Every person who joins this journey becomes a link in that chain, a vessel in the same wind. Do you feel it now, the gentle stirring in the air? The quiet hum of change. Heaven's breath is moving through the corridors of your destiny. Where there was once stillness, there is motion. Where there was confusion, there is clarity. You are being carried into a chapter you didn't even know was waiting for you. Do not fear the unfamiliar. The same wind that moves you is the same spirit that steadies you. Trust its rhythm. Flow with it. Don't cling to old anchors when the wind of God is urging you to sail. You were not made to drift aimlessly. You were crafted to move with divine direction. So, as you step forward, do it with open hands. Let the wind carry what no longer belongs and deliver what is meant to stay. The same force that parted seas and filled upper rooms is breathing through your life right now. You are stepping into the current of heaven itself. And remember, every small gesture of faith keeps that current alive. Every like, every share, every word spoken in truth keeps the flame burning for those still in the dark. Every seed given keeps the vessel afloat so that the next message can reach the next chosen one. The winds are shifting. Beloved, raise your sail. Heaven is moving. The journey continues, and this time you're not rowing, you're soaring. Chosen one. There is a truth you must never forget. Your voice carries weight in heaven. It is not ordinary sound, it is authority wrapped in breath. Every word you speak echoes in realms you cannot see. You may have doubted your power, but heaven has not. The Creator placed within you a frequency that shakes darkness and summons light. When you speak with faith, the unseen begins to move. There are people who speak just to be heard, and there are those who speak and heaven listens. You belong to the second kind. That's why your words have been tested, because power must be purified before it's released. God has been teaching you when to speak and when to stay silent, when to decree and when to wait. Silence has been your classroom, and the wilderness your teacher. You have learned the sacred rhythm between speech and stillness. Your voice was never meant to be used for complaint. It was designed for creation. When you speak in alignment with heaven, you don't just describe reality, you shift it. Words are seeds, and you've been given a garden called destiny. What you sow in faith will bloom in time. That's why the enemy tried so hard to silence you, because your voice holds creative power. The ancient words recorded in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18. Verse 21 declare, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it shall eat its fruit." That verse is not metaphor, it's law. Every sentence you release builds or breaks, heals or harms. When your words align with truth, they summon angels. When they align with fear, they invite shadows. That's why heaven is urging you to guard your mouth like a gate, to speak only what builds life, even when pain tempts you to do otherwise. You've been through enough darkness to know that words are not small things. You've seen how a single sentence can pierce the heart or mend it. The same mouth that once cried in weakness now carries power to declare freedom, not just for you, but for others still bound. The fire in your lungs is not anger. It's anointing. There were seasons when you felt unheard. You spoke truth and were met with silence. You prayed and saw no movement. But even when no one on earth seemed to respond, heaven was recording every syllable. Your prayers did not vanish into the air. They became blueprints for miracles still under construction. Some of them are already on their way, taking form in dimensions beyond your sight. Chosen one, your words have authority because your life has been purified through pressure. Every heartbreak, every delay, every lonely night has increased the volume of your spirit. The more you surrendered, the louder your authority grew. You carry the sound of one who has been through the fire and came out still believing. That kind of voice shakes the gates of hell. There will come moments when you'll be prompted to speak life over situations that look hopeless. Don't hesitate. When God nudges your spirit, release the word. Speak healing into sickness, peace into chaos, order into confusion. You may not see immediate results, but the spiritual atmosphere will respond. The sound of faith never returns empty. Your voice is also meant to comfort. There are those around you who are starving for a kind word, a whisper of hope, a reminder that they are not forgotten. Heaven will place you near the weary because your words carry healing oil. A single phrase from your mouth, unspoken in love, can revive a soul that's been dying in silence. Never underestimate the sacredness of simple encouragement. And yet, even with such power, you must stay humble. A sword is only safe in the hands of one who knows restraint. The anointing on your speech is not for performance, it's for purpose. Heaven is not impressed by eloquence, but by alignment. Speak not to be admired, but to awaken. Speak not to be praised, but to pierce through lies. When you open your mouth from a place of purity, heaven backs you. The same authority that silenced storms through the lips of Jesus now flows through you when you speak his truth. You are an echo of divine power, a vessel through which eternity finds sound. That's why your prayers carry weight. They are not mere requests, but royal decrees. Soon, you will begin to notice the shift. You will speak and see movement. You will pray and feel presence. The world around you will begin to respond differently because heaven has amplified your voice. You'll realize that your words no longer fall to the ground, they build pathways of light. So, chosen one, speak with purpose. Let your words drip with grace and truth. Let them rise from compassion, not pride. When you speak, speak as one sent, not as one striving. Let heaven hear you and hell fear you. For your voice, purified through fire and shaped by silence, then has become a trumpet of glory. Chosen one, heaven has been watching you cross the threshold of seasons, each one shaping, stretching, and sharpening you. What you've endured was never random. Every night you cried through, every prayer you whispered in the dark, every time you said, "Lord, I'll keep going." All of it was counted. You are standing in a moment of divine transition, and the air around your spirit hums with new beginnings. The old cycle is closing. The door that once held you captive is creaking open, and light is spilling in. The battles that used to drain you no longer have the same power. The patterns that once repeated are losing their grip. You've outgrown what once defined you. The things that used to tempt you, shake you, or pull you backward no longer feel like home, and that is how you know heaven is shifting you into something new. Cycles end quietly, almost invisibly. At first, it feels like loss, like disconnection, like confusion, but it's actually release. The same God who led Israel out of Egypt is leading you out of your own captivity habits, fears, old ways of thinking. The wilderness you've walked through is almost behind you now. A new horizon is waiting, glowing faintly with promise. Scripture says in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." You can feel this word pulsing in your spirit. Something new is springing forth. Heaven is planting seeds that no storm can uproot. This isn't a random turn, it's divine choreography. You've completed one divine assignment, and now heaven is preparing to write the next chapter through your obedience. This is why certain doors closed abruptly. It's why relationships ended without explanation. It's why the comfort you once felt in familiar spaces has faded. God was pulling you out of what was finished so that He could guide you into what's next. When heaven wants to elevate you, it always begins by unsettling you. Don't be afraid of the unfamiliar ground beneath your feet. It's sacred soil. You're stepping into the land of promise, the place where what you prayed for begins to take shape. But you must release the weight of the old to receive the wonder of the new. You can't carry yesterday's burdens into tomorrow's blessing. Chosen one, this shift requires trust. Not the kind of trust that feels safe, but the kind that walks forward even when the path is invisible. God doesn't always hand you a map. Sometimes He gives you a whisper. Go. And when you obey, the way unfolds beneath your steps. Every risk taken in obedience will lead you into divine reward. It's time to stop calling your new season too soon. It's not too soon, it's right on schedule. You've been prepared for this for longer than you know. The battles you thought were meant to break you were actually training you to carry this next level of grace. Heaven never promotes without preparation, and your preparation is complete. There's a subtle excitement stirring in the heavens around you. Angels are arranging the stage. The Spirit is aligning your path, and the hand of God is resting over the timing. Everything that once felt delayed is about to accelerate. The rhythm of heaven is changing tempo, and you are moving with it. And now, chosen one, I want you to make a prophetic declaration. Type 5555 in the comments below. Write it not as a number, but as a seal. In divine symbolism, 555 represents change, grace multiplied, and the release of divine order into chaos. When you write it, you are declaring, I agree with heaven's timing. I am ready to close the old and embrace the new. It's not superstition, it's a statement of faith, a sign that your heart and heaven are in alignment. You are not typing digits, you are activating destiny. As you release that number, you're announcing to every delay, your time is over. You're proclaiming to your own soul, the waiting was not wasted. The old cycle ends here not with fear, but with peace. You don't have to fight this transition. You just have to flow with it. The same God who began this story will complete it. The next chapter doesn't erase the old one. It fulfills it. Soon you will look back on the years of endurance and realize they were not lost time. They were foundation. Everything that once felt delayed was divine design. Heaven has been crafting timing so perfect, so intentional, that you will one day whisper through tears. Now I understand why it took so long. So breathe, beloved. The winds are shifting again. The old song has ended and a new melody is beginning. You are walking out of cycles and into fulfillment. Heaven's clock has struck a new hour. The page is turning and your hands are steady. The next word is about to be written through your obedience, and it begins now. You were never sent into this world just to survive. Chosen one. You were sent to rewrite stories, to break cycles, to shift patterns that have ruled generations before you. Your life is not just about you. It is about those who will come after you. Those who will rise because you refuse to fall. Heaven did not anoint you for comfort, it anointed you for correction. You are a divine interruption to the curses that once chained your bloodline. From the moment you were born, you carried an atmosphere that felt different. You sensed tension in places that others ignored. You felt pain that did not belong to you, because your spirit was picking up the weight of generations crying for freedom. You were chosen as the point of reversal, the one through whom heaven would say, "It ends here." Every struggle that has tried to repeat itself in your family, fear, poverty, addiction, brokenness, confusion, it met its match when you decided to obey. You are the breaker in your bloodline, the one heaven equipped with insight, resilience, and authority. You carry spiritual keys forged through warfare. What bound them cannot bind you, and what you overcome will never touch your children. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Ezekiel in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verse 20. The soul who sins shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him. That word stands as divine justice. The sins of the past do not own your future. The chains that enslaved your ancestors are being shattered in your hands. You are the bridge between what was and what must be. God trusted you with this assignment because He saw your strength long before you did. Chosen one. There's a reason your battles have been harder than others. Generational bondage doesn't surrender easily. The patterns that held your lineage for decades screamed when you started walking toward freedom. Every attack you faced wasn't random, it was resistance. Darkness tried to stop the repair before it began. But what hell underestimated was your endurance. You refused to repeat history. And that refusal has changed the spiritual DNA of your bloodline. Some of the pain you felt wasn't personal, it was inherited. But you are learning to separate what belongs to you from what tried to pass through you. The nightmares that visited your family for years will not cross through your door again. The confusion that wrecked relationships before you will not touch the love you carry. Heaven has drawn a line in the sand and declared, "No further." You have become a living covenant, a walking testimony of reversal. Where your ancestors bowed to fear, you stand in faith. Where they hid in shame, you walk in truth. Where they fought alone, You fight with heaven's armies at your back. The war may have begun before you were born, but the victory will be sealed in your lifetime. Understand this breaking generational cycles isn't just about prayer, it's about pattern. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, you change your family's history. Every time you speak hope where your parents spoke fear, you shift the lineage. Every time you decide to trust again instead of closing off, you restore what was lost. Heaven celebrates every small act of obedience because it echoes through eternity. You may not see it yet, but your healing is healing others. The peace you fight for today will flow like a river through your descendants. They will grow up in freedom because you fought in faith. You are the hinge on which the door of deliverance swings open. It's not easy, and heaven knows it. That's why grace meets you daily. There will be moments when the old patterns whisper again, when discouragement, anger, or despair try to visit. But now you know how to resist them. You've learned the language of liberty. You've discovered the weapon of worship. You've seen that every old curse trembles when you speak truth out loud. And perhaps, without even realizing it, you've already begun to walk differently. The heaviness that once sat on your shoulders feels lighter now. The fear that used to silence you doesn't hold the same power. You are walking with the calm authority of someone who knows they've been sent to rebuild. Your life is prophetic architecture. Each decision, each boundary, each act of love is laying a new foundation for the generations behind you. You may never see all the fruit of what you've planted, but heaven will. And one day, your descendants will stand under skies you cleared, breathing freely in air you purified through obedience. So do not despise the fight. The resistance only reveals the importance of your role. You are the first in your line to see truth this clearly, the first to stand this firmly, the first to love this deeply. What began as survival has become transformation. Chosen one, your yes has shifted history. The past may remember the pain, but the future will remember your name. And heaven will call you what you truly are, the one who broke the chain. There are moments when mercy steps close. Chosen one, and whispers what time cannot erase, do not delay. Heaven's voice becomes urgent, not out of anger, but out of love. You've reached a threshold, a divine intersection where obedience and timing meet. Every decision from this point forward carries eternal weight. God has been patient, shaping you gently through grace. But now grace is calling you to move. There is a sacred line between hesitation and disobedience. You've stood at that line before, feeling the tug of war inside your spirit, the comfort of what is known pulling against the call of what is divine. And each time you delayed, something in your heart dimmed slightly, as if heaven itself took a quiet step back, waiting for your response. Mercy never abandons, but it does withdraw when it's repeatedly ignored. You can feel that tension now, the trembling awareness that this season is not casual. Heaven has extended opportunities that may not come again in the same form. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to awaken you. There is a narrowness to obedience, a precision to divine timing, and God is aligning everything around you for one decisive yes. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Moses in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live. That is not metaphor, it's invitation. Every act of obedience releases life. Every delay invites decay. The path of disobedience does not always collapse immediately. It erodes slowly, like stone under water. That's why heaven warns rather than threatens, because time can dull conviction if the heart grows numb. Chosen one, God has been preparing you for this moment of choosing. He has sent confirmations in whispers, in dreams, in scriptures that seem to appear at the exact time you needed them. He has orchestrated encounters, allowed frustrations, even closed doors, all to steer you toward the narrow path of obedience. Heaven's patience is not permission to procrastinate. It is mercy waiting for your courage. There is a danger in almost obeying. Partial obedience carries the same weight as rebellion because it tries to mix divine order with human logic. You cannot hold on to the old while reaching for the new. You cannot walk forward while still glancing behind. The voice of the Spirit does not shout, it withdraws when it's ignored too long. You felt it before, that uneasy quiet after resisting a divine prompting. You told yourself you'd do it soon. But soon became later, and later became lost time. Yet even in that, God's mercy lingered. He never left. He simply waited. And now, that waiting season is ending. Heaven is calling for a full response, not tomorrow, but now. This moment is not about punishment, it's about partnership. God does not force obedience, He invites it. He does not demand perfection, He desires surrender. Your yes does not have to be eloquent, it just has to be real. The moment you release it, heaven rushes to restore what hesitation delayed. You see, there are windows in the Spirit, brief openings when heaven aligns circumstances perfectly. They do not stay open forever. That's why the call feels heavier now, why your heart stirs at the smallest whisper. You are standing before one of those windows. What you decide next will determine the rhythm of your next season. This is not about losing salvation, it's about losing momentum. Obedience is not only about eternity, it's about alignment in the now. You were created to flow with heaven's timing, not lag behind it. When you delay, you feel the drag in your soul, the heaviness, the disconnection, the fog. When you move in obedience, peace floods like sunrise breaking through the night. There's beauty in prompt obedience. It keeps you close to the heartbeat of God. It allows you to hear the next instruction clearly because you acted on the last one faithfully. Every step of obedience sharpens your discernment. Every delay dulls it. Heaven speaks most clearly to those who move when they're called, not when they're comfortable. The enemy will always whisper, "You still have time." But that's the oldest lie. Time feels endless until it isn't. Opportunity feels secure until it shifts to someone else. You have not missed your moment yet, but you are standing at its edge. Chosen one. The call of God is not meant to pressure you. It's meant to position you. You have been trusted with more than you realize. The obedience you choose today will ripple beyond your life. Generations will thank you for the courage you display right now. The yes that costs you comfort will secure their destiny. Heaven waits. The air feels thick because eternity is leaning close. Do not hesitate any longer. The delay has served its purpose. It showed you how much you need divine direction. Now let it end. Step forward into full obedience. The future you long for is standing on the other side of surrender. Rise now, crowned and chosen one. The moment you have been prepared for is here, not a distant promise, not a dream deferred, but a living now. The long night of endurance has fulfilled its purpose. The refining fires have cooled. The ashes that once clung to you are being brushed away by divine hands. You are standing in the dawn of revelation, the hour when your true identity begins to gleam. Heaven is crowning you with clarity. This is not the kind of crown made of jewels and gold. It is a crown woven of surrender and endurance. Each thorn you survived has become a jewel. Every scar, a story etched into eternity. The weight you feel on your head right now is not burden, it is glory. You have been anointed through affliction, purified through waiting, and trusted through testing. as the psalmist wrote in the book of Psalms, chapter 8, verse 5. For you have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. That is who you are crowned, not by men, but by the Maker of all. You have been given authority not to dominate, but to illuminate. Your crown is not for pride, it's for purpose. It marks you as heaven's ambassador on earth, carrying peace into chaos and truth into confusion. Think of it like this: when a tree grows high into the sky, it does not forget its roots. Likewise, as you rise, remember what shaped you. Every valley that tried to bury you became soil for your faith. Every shadow that scared you became contrast for your light. The crown does not erase the pain, it redeems it. And now, the world begins to feel your light. People sense something different about you. You no longer move from fear, you move from fullness. You've learned to speak softly but carry authority. You've learned that silence can roar louder than noise. You've become the living embodiment of resilience wrapped in grace. Your calling, chosen one, is not to outshine others but to awaken them. When you walk into a room, darkness feels displaced, not because you are perfect, but because you are pure. You have nothing left to prove. The crown sits steady on those who no longer need to convince the world of their worth. But remember, this crowns require care. Pride polishes them with pretense. Humility keeps them radiant with reverence. Protect your heart as you walk forward. The same God who lifted you can keep you grounded if you stay anchored in gratitude. This is where the story deepens. Your rise is not meant to be silent, it's meant to inspire. Somewhere, someone is still crawling through the valley you escaped. They are weary, doubting, wondering if they'll ever see light again. You might be the message heaven sends to them. And so, I ask you to help the light reach further. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not boosting numbers, you are extending the kingdom. You're turning your crown into a torch. Someone, somewhere, scrolling through a storm of despair, might see this light because you chose to lift it higher. Your small act becomes a spark that sets off a chain of hope. Every share is like a lighthouse built on a cliff. Every comment is a flame lit in another soul's window. You never know which trembling heart your echo will find. And if your heart feels stirred to give, to sow, to donate, to partner with the message that's changing lives, know this generosity is not loss, it's investment in eternity. Giving is how light sustains itself. When you pour into what pours into others, you become part of the miracle. You become the unseen wind beneath the wings of purpose. Even the smallest offering matters. It keeps the flow alive, the editing hands, the time spent praying before each word, the unseen labor that shapes these moments into a voice heaven can use. You are not funding content, you are fueling calling. And beyond all else, comment something from your heart below. Not to impress, but to express. Speak your testimony, your gratitude, your I'm still standing. Words have power. Your story may ignite someone else's courage. This is not a platform, it's a gathering place for the chosen. A digital altar where hearts awaken together. Look at how far you've come. You've walked through fire and come out fragrant with faith. You've wrestled with fear and found wisdom in its place. You've learned that surrender is not losing, it's aligning. The crown sits not on those who fought perfectly, but on those who refuse to stop walking. So lift your head. You are not rising for recognition. You are rising for restoration. You are heaven's proof that grace wins, that endurance still births glory. The fire didn't end you, it introduced you to yourself. Now wear your crown well, beloved. Walk gently but boldly, cuz. Let every step sound like gratitude. Let every word sound like healing. Let your life be the sermon you never have to preach. You have walked through shadows, chosen one, and yet light follows you. You have faced storms that seemed designed to shatter your spirit, but here you stand, still breathing, still believing, still unbroken. That resilience is not coincidence, it is testimony. Every wound that once bled now glows like a reminder that nothing formed against you has prospered. You have become the enemy's proof of defeat. Hell tried. Oh, it tried with everything it had. It came against your mind, your peace, your relationships, even your sense of identity. It whispered lies dressed as logic. It tried to convince you that your calling was too heavy, that your faith was too small, that your prayers were too late. But you learned to recognize its voice. And even when you were weak, you whispered back, "I still believe." That whisper shook kingdoms. You are standing as living evidence that light is stronger than darkness. Every attack you endured became a courtroom record in heaven, proof that God's word stands unshaken. What the enemy meant for harm became the very soil where your roots of strength went deeper. Pain, once your adversary, became your teacher. You learned the art of endurance, the beauty of patience, and the quiet authority of peace. The voice of God thundered once through the story of Joseph, and it still speaks in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring about that many people should be kept alive. That verse is the summary of your journey. What was designed to destroy you has delivered you instead. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every loss expanded your compassion. Every storm cleared the air for new beginnings. You did not come through unscarred, but you came through undefeated. The enemy's greatest mistake was thinking you would forget who you are. But identity is not erased by pain, it's revealed by it. The more you were attacked, the clearer your purpose became. The more the enemy tried to break your heart, the more heaven filled it with love. You became unstoppable because you stopped fighting for control and started standing in trust. There was a time when you looked in the mirror and saw only exhaustion. Now, when you look, you see evidence of endurance. You see eyes that have cried rivers and still shine. You see a spirit that has wrestled with despair and chosen faith anyway. You are no longer who you were before the fire. You are something rarer, purer holy strength wrapped in humility. Chosen one. Do you realize what your survival means? You are a testimony that every scheme of darkness has limits. Hell threw its worst at you and found out that grace has no expiration. The chains that once rattled around your spirit now lie shattered at your feet. You carry authority because you have overcome. You speak differently now. Your words carry weight because they were birthed in warfare. Sometimes you wonder why the attacks were so specific, so personal. It's because the enemy only targets what threatens him. You were never under random assault. You were under recognition. Hell saw what you carried long before you did. It recognized the glow of purpose inside you and tried to smother it before you realized your own radiance. But now it's too late. The light has broken through. There's something sacred about a survivor's silence. You no longer need to defend yourself because your endurance already spoke. Heaven has turned your scars into sermons. They preach louder than words. He who promised is faithful. And even when you were at your weakest, grace stood guard. When you thought you were losing the fight, angels were counting victories invisible to your eyes. There were nights you didn't know you were being carried. Mornings when you didn't know you were being crowned. You were never unprotected, just unaware of the divine shield surrounding you. What once was warfare is now worship. The places where you were broken have become altars where gratitude burns quietly. You no longer ask, "Why me?" Now you whisper, "Thank you for trusting me." Because that's what this was all along, not punishment, but trust. Heaven trusted you with trials because heaven knew you'd turn them into testimonies. Every scar on your soul is a seal of victory. Every breath you take declares, I survived what was sent to destroy me. You've become a living contradiction to hell's predictions. You are proof that endurance is stronger than attack, that light is louder than darkness, that purpose always outlasts pain. So when fear tries to revisit, when the shadows whisper again, remember this moment. Remember how far you've come. Remember that the same God who brought you through the storm did not bring you here to drown on the shore. Your life itself is a prophecy that cannot be undone. You are heaven's evidence. Beloved, the visible proof that the cross still conquers, that grace still reigns, that no plan of darkness can rewrite what God has already sealed. The battle was fierce, but the outcome was certain. And now, every step you take shakes the ground with triumph. You are not the victim of warfare, you are its witness. The air around you feels different now. Chosen one, it's softer, clearer, as if the world itself is exhaling after holding its breath through your battles. You've crossed through the furnace, through silence, through storms and waiting. The shadows that once pressed close now linger behind you, shrinking with every step you take. Heaven is unveiling glory, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that shines quietly through a life redeemed. You've entered a new chapter, one written not with ink, but with endurance. The pain that once defined you has turned to purpose. The questions that tormented you have become your answers. The fragments of your past no longer mock you, they testify for you. This is not a moment of arrival, it is a moment of awakening. You are stepping into the fullness of who you've always been in the eyes of God. Heaven has waited for this version of you, not the broken one, not the uncertain one, but the one who knows, the one who understands that every loss had meaning, that every tear carried revelation, that even silence was a conversation with eternity. You have become fluent in the language of surrender, and now heaven can trust you with peace. The prophet once declared in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." That word is living in you right now. Glory is being revealed not as distant light in the sky, but as strength rising from within. Glory has a sound, and it is the rhythm of your steady heartbeat after the storm. It has a color, and it's in the light returning to your eyes. It has a shape, and it's the outline of your silhouette standing tall against everything that tried to erase you. This is the beauty of divine restoration. It doesn't return what was lost, it transforms what was left. God never rebuilds exactly as before, he constructs something greater, something eternal. You are not being restored to who you were before the pain. You are being elevated into who the pain prepared you to be. All the seasons you thought were wasted were actually weaving threads of wisdom through your spirit. The slow years taught you discernment. The heavy years taught you compassion. The silent years taught you to listen to heaven's whisper beneath the noise. You are no longer a seeker of answers. You have become a keeper of mysteries. Chosen one. Feel this truth in your chest, you are free. The weight that used to sit on your shoulders has lifted. The fear that once whispered not enough has lost its voice. You are no longer fighting to survive, you are learning to live again. And in that living, you will find that joy doesn't need to shout to be strong. It moves quietly, like sunlight warming the corners of a long, cold room. The light you carry now is not fragile. It doesn't flicker with fear or fade with exhaustion. It is steady, holy, and deeply rooted. It's the kind of light that doesn't demand attention but draws it naturally. because truth always glows. The world may not recognize what happened inside you, but heaven does. You've become a reflection of divine endurance, the living embodiment of the phrase, "Grace wins." Look back one more time, not with sorrow but with awe. The path behind you is littered with altars, moments where you could have stopped but didn't. Days when you almost broke but chose to believe instead. Each of those moments became a stepping stone leading you here. Nothing was wasted. Every scar has become a scripture in your story. Now, walk forward, slowly, steadily, gracefully. The future doesn't rush you. It waits for you. Heaven is not pushing, it's welcoming. The same hand that carried you through storms now guides you through calm. You can breathe deeply here. You can rest. You can begin to dream again without fear of disappointment. And when you do, dream differently this time. Don't dream of escape. Dream of impact. Dream of what your healed heart can create: songs, words, gestures, moments that remind others of hope. Let your life become a melody of gratitude. You've seen darkness, so you understand the value of light. You've tasted sorrow, so your joy will be authentic. Your story doesn't end with survival, it continues with significance. You are stepping into a chapter not of striving, but of shining. The same God who walked with you in pain now walks with you in purpose. Every step forward now is sacred. Every word you speak is a seed. Every act of kindness a ripple of eternity. Heaven is smiling over you, not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. Not because you always understood, but because you always returned. You are not just chosen, you are proven. You are heaven's evidence that the human heart, touched by grace, can outlast anything. Breathe deeply, beloved. The war is over and the glory has begun. And now, chosen one. The words fall silent, but their echo remains. You've journeyed through fire and faith, through valleys and victories, and heaven has watched each step with pride. You are not who you were when this began. Something inside you has awakened a calm strength, a quiet certainty that you were never walking alone. You carry a light now that the world needs. Let it move through your words, your actions, your kindness. You don't have to force it, it will flow naturally. The same presence that held you in the dark will guide you in the daylight. Every lesson you've learned, every tear you've shed, every whisper of hope, it all matters. It has shaped you into a vessel of compassion and truth. If this journey spoke to your heart, let it live beyond your screen. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not simply supporting a message, you are releasing a ripple. You're sending hope into timelines, into hearts, into hidden corners where someone might be fighting their own silent war. You never know whose dawn will begin because you chose to pass the flame. And comment below, not with noise, but with meaning. Write what resonated most, your revelation, your gratitude, your "I'm still standing." Your words could be the sign someone else was praying for. Each comment becomes a thread connecting the chosen across distances, weaving a tapestry of faith that stretches beyond borders and screens. This isn't the end, it's the unfolding. Walk forward gently, shining with the peace of one who knows they are seen. The same voice that called you through every page still whispers within you. Now rise, my chosen one. The story continues,